All right. Once we get through all of the rigmarole that's required in the federal court trial level with Judge Breyer, up to the Ninth Circuit with the two Trump judges, about California, and it's not just about California, about the assault on our union by a president of the United States to try to tear asunder our brand of federalism and go after a political rival in California, because that's all we're watching. After all that's said and done, what is the United States Supreme Court going to do? How does it get to the United States Supreme Court? What are they going to do on an emergency application or on a writ? How quickly is it going to get there? How is it going to break down? Is it going to be 6-3 in favor of Donald Trump? Is it going to be 7-2 against, or anything in between? We talk about it, we explode it, we put it back together the only way we know how, without blowing smoke or sunshine, on Legal AF, the podcast. And here's a clip.
But first, they kind of go through this exercise of granting Donald Trump the administrative stay that he requests, preserving not the status quo that existed before Trump engages in a disastrous executive order or takes some really harmful action, but the status quo as it exists once Trump implements that really bad thing, so that often that bad thing remains in place for a long period of time. But if it goes on the outer limits of dictatorial power, you really only see two of the justices who have been siding with Donald Trump, Justice Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito, seem to side with Donald Trump on everything. This is one of those cases, Popok, for all of the reasons you laid out, though, because it violates the statute, it violates the 10th Amendment, and it violates just kind of common sense. I could see this being one of those 9-0 rulings, like the facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia ruling, and we'll talk about Abrego in a bit. That was a 9-0 ruling there. So this feels like it'll be a 7-2 or even a 9-0. But I think you'll clearly have Ketanji Brown Jackson. I think you'll clearly have Kagan. You'll clearly have Sotomayor, the three liberal justices. I think you're going to get Roberts. I think you're going to get there. I think you'll get Amy Coney Barrett. Yeah. And then the question is, are you going to get Gorsuch and Kavanaugh? And I think in a case like this, given their kind of states' rights backgrounds, I just think you get them. So what do you think will happen?
I agree with you. I think it's going to be a win for our constitutional republic and our system of federalism. It goes to the very core of who we are as a United States of America. And they're going to quickly, I think, dispatch the argument about lack of judicial oversight over anything Donald Trump wants to do. I mean, let's just call it out. Let's take the scales off our eyes, which you and I have been working on with our audience for 5 years, which is what we're watching, which is Donald Trump creating phony emergencies, phony wars, phony indictments, phony, rebellions or insurrections in order to use the crushing superpowers that are given to presidents only in those limited circumstances. Okay. I just picture a book on his desk that was created by like a 3-ring binder created by Stephen Miller of war powers and what you have to what you have to lie to the American people about in order to use them. But that's not working in federal courts, and that's not working with appellate courts in general. And I don't think it works with the lineup that you just gave there, because this tension of the unitary president model, which 5 of them believe in, or at least 4 of them strongly believe in, runs counter to states' rights and state sovereignty. And I've seen enough written by Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, at least, to believe that even they. So whether it's 6-3 or 7-2 in that ballpark, but you're right, you'll never get Alito and Thomas. They're going to be, well, he's the commander in chief. They'll do a whole analysis that doesn't even fit with what you're supposed to be analyzing under the language of the statute or under federalism. And they'll say, well, this is like a war power. And they'll go off because they'll reverse engineer it. What's the outcome we want? The president to be able to do what he just did? Okay. And then they start pulling out of their tool bag of monkey wrenches all the things that get them there. Oh, is it originalism? Saying that the text has to match exactly what the founding? No, that doesn't work. Is it dictionary definitions? No, that doesn't work. Is it public policy? Yeah, maybe. Is it war powers? Oh, war powers. That'll get us there. That's how they operate. I'm talking about at least 4 a 4 on the total right wing. But we're going to get there quick. I never thought I keep saying this out loud. I guess it's comforting to me. I never thought you and I would be doing podcasting and hot takes about a president's violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, the Alien Enemies Act, laws on the books since 1903 or 1878, or everything else. I thought these were inviolable guardrails around our democracy until we elected rogue, lawless felon in chief who his entire animating principle for his presidency, as we've said throughout, is to crush dissent, to repress, and to be vindictive and retribution against those he sees as his political enemies, which is frankly anybody that's not MAGA and supporting him.
Well, earlier this week when Donald Trump was at Fort Bragg, where he handpicked the soldiers behind him that would be that supported him politically, and they were selling all of the MAGA gear. One of the things that Donald Trump was talking about in his speech, with the military flanking him in the background, was using the military to liberate Los Angeles. That's what he said. We need to liberate Los Angeles. And then his Department of Homeland Security cosplay dog killer, Kristi Noem, when she went to the Los Angeles FBI office right before that incident where the Senator Alex Padilla of California was thrown to the ground and detained for trying to ask her a question. She was giving a speech like a coup leader who just invaded a country or had just taken over the country from within. And she was speaking in Los Angeles, and her speech was, Los Angeles has been liberated. The military is on the streets. The Marines are here. The National Guard has been federalized. You are now safe because of it was a coup speech.
Yeah.
So the democratically elected California Senator Alex Padilla was asking a question when she was talking about her liberation of Los Angeles, which, by the way, it's the most delusional concept in the world. Of the 4,000 National Guard troops that have been federalized, only about 100 to 200 of them have actually been operationalized because there's no plan with what to do with them. Right. They're not trained to do this. So you have 100 to 200 of them surrounding some of the federal buildings like kind of glorified bodyguards or glorified bouncers that you may see at like standing in front of a club, as people are, as people are looking at them and saying, what the hell are you doing in our city? Why are you doing that? What do you do in the city? And then Trump adds on top of that, the Marines and calls the Marines to come in addition to federalizing the National Guard. But, to your point, we're talking about the language of dictators, of coup leaders, saying that they're liberating American cities, and that what needs to be conquered and taken over are liberal blue cities. And I've said this about California. I'll just say it again. California has the 4th largest GDP in the world. If California was a country, it'd have the 4th largest GDP. Our diversity makes California great. The migrant community in California helps California. You know how Donald Trump says that the United States subsidizes Canada, which it doesn't, because Donald Trump doesn't understand the way deficits work.
Doesn't understand
California
trade.
Literally subsidizes mostly every red state.
Yeah.
All of the red states are failed states. They're the worst in education, worst when it comes to
infant mortality, poverty,
quality of living, health. You name every stat, those red states are the worst. They're taker states. And then they have the audacity to basically say, we're sending in the troops to go after California. And really, hat tip to California Governor Gavin Newsom, who I think has shown awesome leadership over
presidential medal.
Yeah. Very, very, very much so. Yeah. And we here at the Midas Touch Network were the exclusive live streamers of his major address to the state and to the country.
And look what legal AFers and Midas Mighty and others were able to do. Donald Trump figured out, as Gavin Newsom said, that it's bad. It's a bad look and bad politics to be chasing people, human beings, through supermarkets and hotel lobbies and factory floors and food and agricultural plants. That was a bad look. So Donald Trump issued a new ruling through his immigration, his ICE, that says, and see, they know the term. They know that Donald Trump knows that not all undocumented are criminals, because that's the instant conflagration that Donald Trump does in order to support his inhumane policies. They're all criminals. They're all rapists and drug users and drug dealers and human traffickers. We'll get to Abrego Garcia in a minute. But they actually have a term for the hard-working undocumented that do the dirty jobs that nobody wants to do in America, that make up a large percentage of many of our industries like hospitality, construction, food processing. They're known as, listen to this, Ben, let's talk about Orwellian vocabulary, non-criminal collateral. You know what non-criminal collateral is in Trump's vocabulary? It's the undocumented who have not committed any crime. And now he's sent out a memo that said, and Gavin Newsom did a great job trolling him about it. Oh, I guess you figured out it wasn't a good look to be chasing brown people through hotel lobbies and factories, right? So now it says, ICE, don't do any raids if it involves agriculture, hotels, and food plants. Stay away from them. If they're non-criminal collateral, meaning they're not doing anything wrong, don't arrest them. A recognition, as he did when he owned hotels and golf courses and employed a lot of undocumented people, that this is part of the lifeblood of our economy, and putting them far underground out of fear instead of giving them a dignified path to citizenship or permanent residency is probably not a good look. But I find it remarkable, and the press, of course, doesn't cover it enough, that he has a term. He knows what undocumenteds that are just hardworking and hoping to God that there is a new president that comes in 2028 who knows about ethnic diversity and its value, such as Gavin Newsom, that will reward them for paying their taxes, keeping their nose clean, not committing crimes, and doing the jobs that Americans, by and large, don't want to do. And they're holding on, barely holding on. At the same time, Stephen Miller, who gives out the command, there needs to be 3,000 arrests a day, which amps it up. They finally get to 2,000 arrests a day, leading into California. And focus, listen to this, Ben. Stephen Miller wants ICE to focus on Home Depot and the parking lots, because they've recognized that over the last 30 years, there's a lot of undocumented day laborers and other workers there. So he's like, let's do the raid in the Home Depot parking lot, which is a red-owned, MAGA-owned company that has Donald Trump's ear, the Home Depot people, big supporters of Donald Trump. And now they're just going to turn away other human beings and let ICE do raids in Home Depot parking lots. And you know what they do for the employees at Home Depot, Ben? They can't report it. They have to report it on a database that there was an ICE raid, and they get to go home if they were offended by anything that happened in the parking lot. But they're not going to stop it either. Welcome back. Wednesdays, Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can get the YouTube version of Legal AF, the podcast, the #1 law and politics podcast on the YouTube rankings. Audio. Maybe you like to consume your podcast by the old-fashioned audio method. I do. OG. Pick it up on audio. In fact, we could use some more audio downloads to help with the algorithms and help promote the show. We're always in the top 50 in the world in news, but we can do better with your help. Make your movement part of ours. Join us. And then, of course, Legal AF, the YouTube channel, Legal AF MTN is where you got to go for all the breaking law and politics news. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.